is it all about delegation? We hear today that if you want to get something done and you've got a lot to do, don't take it all upon yourself. Delegate, relegate, give it to others to do. That it's not all about doing it on one's own. And that's true to a certain extent, that when we have so many things to do and there are things that others can manage as capably as we can, pass it on, share the load. However, there are certain times in life when we have to do something ourselves, when it's not about relegation or delegation, but it's rather about me doing it for myself. You could say it's not about relegation, but it's about participation. In halakha, there's a distinction made between a mitzvah that a person does shebegufo, a mitzvah that a person does with their body, that only they can do. There are certain mitzvot which you can appoint a shaliach. You can get a messenger to do it for you. So, mitzvah of shofar, do we each have to blow our own horn? No. You can listen to the shofar that somebody else blows. We nominate them as our shaliach, our messenger, the shaliach mitzvah. However, you're sitting around at Seder night, time comes to eat the wonderful, delicious matzah, corrugated cardboard. Do I have to eat it myself? Can I delegate my son, my daughter, my wife, my husband? Can they eat it for me? After all, they say the bracha, I'll answer amen, they can eat it. I don't have the intestinal fortitude for matzah. You do it for me. No, says the halacha. Got to eat my matzah myself. It's got to be my cracker, my matzah. You can't crack it over to somebody else. And this principle of relegation or delegation versus participation, which is suggested by Rabbi Norman Lamb, features very strongly in our parasha. For in our parasha we read about Yitzchak, the life of Isaac, son of Abraham and Sarah. And we read about a particular episode in his life when he is among the Plishtim, the Philistines, and he is living in the arid area where the Philistines are living and now dependent upon water from the wells. And it says Yitzchak goes and he opens up the wells which his father had dug before him. And once he opens up the wells, the Philistines are envious of his success, not only in finding water, but his general material success. They are envious and they are hostile towards him. They fill the well. Digs another well. The same thing happens. It's only after the third well is dug that the Philistines, the Plishtim, cease from their hostility. And an intriguing idea is suggested by Rabbi Lamb. He said, what was different with the third time? First time didn't work, second time, third time did work. Because he says, if you look very closely at the language, on the first two occasions, when those wells were dug, they were dug by the servants or employees of Yitzchak. They were not dug by him himself. And the language that the Torah uses is Vayachbaru avdei Yitzchak. And the servants of Isaac, they dug the well. With regard to the second well, we read Vayachbaru be'er acherit. They dug another well. It's only with regard to the third well that we find the element of personal participation, Vayachpor be'er acheret, and he dug another well. In other words, as long as Isaac was willing to leave the performance of the duties to others, not to do it by himself, there was, as the first well is called, Asek and Sitna. There was hatred and there was argumentation. It was only when he decided not to delegate, not to rely on all the schleppers and noch schleppers that were around him, but to go out there and do it himself, that he succeeds. And the third well, nobody argues about. And the third well is actually called Rehovot, which is still an area that I'm sure you know in Israel today. And Rehovot means that which is enlarged. It means space. It means peace and freedom and personal space that are needed for full development. We cannot and shouldn't attempt to do everything on our own, but there are certain times in life, certain actions in life, certain things in life that only we can do and only we can do best. It's not only about delegation, therefore, it's about participation and activation of one's own. So, message from this week's parasha, you've got to eat your own matzah. It's your own mitzvah. You want to do something else? For that you can appoint a shaliach or messenger. I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom and hope you'll join us at Shul this week for our special Lev Tov Shabbat, a Shabbat in which we will be showing off our new Mechitza and welcoming in some of our generous sponsors with a special Kiddush. Shabbat Shalom.